road, he was like, well, listen, if you can make good money out of just putting out two-way lights, but I know that you're too qualified to do that job, I know I'm going to get a good job every time. So for me, it's a no-brainer because I know that you're not going to be sending people who don't have a clue. You're going to be there. So I get a good service and you get good money. So if you're happy, because a lot of people, I suppose, when they set up their own company, they don't want to be on the road. They want to be in the office, pointing fingers and telling people what to do and where to go. But for me, the one sticking point for me is I don't want to pay someone else money to do something that I can do if I can do it. So we've got a good core team of people which have all got their job to play. And then if another job comes in, I'm on it because I don't want to go, okay, we'll just get Joe Bloggs in, he can do it. I can pay him half of the money that I would have got to go and do it, but he might mess it up. And he might lose us that work moving forward. So rather than doing that, I just go, am I available? Yeah, cool, I'll do that. And I suppose that's probably helped us, whereas some people just want to get in the office, get the nice car, sit in the office, get the boards up and just tell people what to do and where to go. And for me, I just think you can't build something good if you're not prepared to start at the bottom yourself.
Okay, so that in the first moments of you, so the geezer says to you in the office, why don't you do it?
Yeah.
You say, maybe, go talk to the missus.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it happen. What's the next step? So you got to get, obviously you say you got to get a van.
Yeah. So I'll ring up everyone. How much for a van? Cool. How much for a van? Cool. How much for a van? Got the price to where it needed to be, then we can get credit because the company's only been open for a year.
Right.
So then we had to pay cash every month for the month in advance. So then we're going, right, we've just sold the house with my nan. So we're in a position where we've got 20 grand in the bank. That was going to be our deposit for our house. So now we go, right, do we sack it off and not bother? Or do we, and we get a house? Or do we stay in the flat, which is owned by me and my friend, so we're not going to get kicked out, pay the mortgage, stay in there, put that 20 grand into the business and hope for the best? Because you kick yourself in 5 years' time if you think, 20 grand, I could have been there. So
how did that? This is interesting to me because I'm that sort of nutter, but like, how did that conversation go between you and the missus? I'm just interested.
Better than I thought it was.
Okay.
The thing is about me and my missus, we're very, very similar, which has its good points and its bad points. Good points in the sense of if we both think an idea is good, we'll go for it. Bad, if we disagree on something, we fucking disagree. It's like, no. So,
no one's gonna bite them. No one's gonna fall on their sword in that situation.
Absolutely not. No. And we are both as stubborn as each other. I think eventually I'm probably a little bit more stubborn than my missus, and she will always, at the very last hurdle, going whatever, kind of thing. But yeah, she'll take it all the way to the end. So I'm going home and I'm excited because I'm thinking, fucking hell, we could be millionaires. Like, you got that Del boy in you going, we could be millionaires, And then I'm thinking, but we could lose that 20 grand. And you always think about other people that, put all that money on that horse. Because, and sometimes it comes in and sometimes it doesn't. And I said to my missus, look, is it guaranteed? No, it's not guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed, is it? So they've said 5 days a week, 2 men. I've done the math. That's how much we'll pay the other man. That's how much the van is. My wage is irrelevant. So we look at whatever's left as pure profit because I could pay myself £50 out of that, or if there's enough, I can pay myself £100 out of that. But the point is to build that up to then get two teams. Do a good service for that first year, and then go right after the first year. Right, I want to put another 2 people in. So me and that guy will then split and then get 2 trainees with us. He's been with me for the year. He knows how I want that job doing. So then hopefully that crew just doubles and you've got the same quality. So this is in my head. I'm going home. Right, this is the story. Right. So we sit down. I say, right, we've got that money. We won't need all of that money. We'll just need a bit of that money. But that money can last us X amount of months. And if it doesn't work, we lose all that money. But we can sustain for 6 months or whatever. If it does work though, wow, how good would that be in a year's time? We can have that money back and we can do this and we can do that. And she's gone, do you know what, go for it. Looking back now, that was fucking mental because we were engaged to be married. 2
kids by this time?
No, she's pregnant. She we were engaged to be married, but no plans as of that time,
Right.
like dates and stuff.
Mhm.
She was pregnant with our little boy, with our first child, right?
Mhm.
And we were moving house. We were moving from that house to the flat.
The flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
why do you think? Did you ever ask her why she said yes, or why? What was her?
she's a fucking nutter like me. So it was just you know, each one of those things are stressful in themselves.
Yeah.
But all three together, and then me coming home going, why don't we set up a
The brand new business.
brand new business. Let's just do it. You know.
Yeah.
I suppose we've just never done anything easy. Do you know what I mean? It's everything. We've always gone around the houses. You know, our whole relationship. You know, things that I've done in our relationship where I've messed up.
Yeah.
You know, made our relationship more difficult.
Yeah.
Decisions that we've made, like buying the house with my nan. That wasn't an easy decision. We thought it was a great idea at the time, though. You know, so stuff like that. You know, it's just we've never done anything the easy way. And as difficult as it's been, and as argumentative as we've both been, it's always come out the other end, and we've gone, do you know what? Wouldn't have done that any other way. Well, I suppose a couple of things that I've probably done, I would have done a completely different way, but So the conversation went well. We decided to do it. And that was it. So I called him and said, right, I need a month to mobilise everything, get a van, do this and that. And that was it. And then. So
you just used their premises, like, as in to maybe store the van or to park the van
outside the house.
Okay.
We originally got a box van.
Okay, like transit sort of thing.
Horrible to work out of.
Can imagine.
In traffic management, but great because you can lock everything inside it.
Yeah.
So we didn't need a yard. So we had a garage, a council garage for £50 a week or whatever. Which was, you opened it up and you couldn't get in it. It was full of signs and cones, which we had obtained and bought and borrowed and been left over on the job and we collected. So it's a real sort of like, you know,
mismatch of
everything. So we had signs here and we had some sort of order to it that we knew, you know, what was where and stuff. But it was real sort of, okay, so if this works, great, and it's costing us nothing. So, you know, we had the van outside the house and garage full of kit. Yeah. And that was it. And then it's just, like I say, it's just sort of snowballed from there.
So timeline wise, so you've set this up. You've
12 months in, just labouring for this agency.
Yeah.
12 months in, get offered 2 men and a van. Jump on that. A year later, we've taken 2 other people on, just sort of trainee level.
So before you've taken those 2 other people on, are you literally just? Is it like? Are you just earning the amount that you thought in that first conversation with that geezer, what he promised you, that 5 days a week, whatever that number was, that's what you're earning for 12 months?
Yeah, so that 5 days a week doubled to like 10 shifts a week because we were so efficient, I suppose, at doing the job. So me and the other guy that was working with me, we would go out as a 2-man gang, then he'd shoot off and go and do another job, and then I'd let him go home, and then he would come back later on that night and do another job, and then I would like have a bit of a rest, and then I'd go and do the day, and then we were working day and night, and just sharing the load between us, sleeping on site when we could, one of us shooting home and getting a few hours kip, and you know, just really stretching ourselves to full capacity. To then go, right, now we need another person, or now we need another 2 people and another van, because it's
so what was that? So was it that decision to bring on more people?
Forced,
So that was just literally because
we couldn't handle the work.
Was it that it was getting more, or was it just that what you were doing at that time, you just couldn't continue doing what you were doing at that time?
So we worked at full. So when I was on my own, I worked at full capacity till we needed to get somebody else. Got somebody else. We worked till we couldn't work. Not that we couldn't physically do the job anymore. We were doing what we were doing, still continuous. But we were getting even more work coming on. So then we were like, right, we're being forced now to get another van, and forced to get another person or 2 people. Looking back, I think we got 1 person and then used agency to fill in the gaps. So then it was less headcount to get rid of if you didn't have any work for it. So every expansion point, we've always been at full capacity, to which we either, you know,
either you've got to turn down work, or you've got to get someone else,
or people just go, I can't do it anymore. And then open the floodgates and let more work in, kind of thing. Yeah, it's just kind of rolled like that really. So first year, I earned a decent wage. Second year, the wage was doubled because we took on another person, so we took on twice the workload.
Yeah.
And then the year after that, it doubled and some. So I'd probably say not trebled, not quite trebled, but it.
Yeah.
You know, and now obviously it's kind of leveled out at where it should be, comparable to how many people we've got.
Yeah.
So touch wood, it's kind of gone like that. And again, that was by being in the right place at the right time and having the right conversation.
And it's a business that you're doing with your missus, obviously.
Yeah. So she does the accounts.
Okay.
Pays all the wages.
Yes.
Don't pay mine.
So, is it like what is that like? Is in
what, working with each other?
Yeah, because obviously you don't. It's not like you're working together every day, face to face.
No.
But obviously the stress of being an entrepreneur and being your own boss is shared between the two of you.
Yeah. So it's good and bad. So my missus, she's come from a recruitment background. She's been a business manager at Reed, so big global company.
Yeah.
Great processes in place, training second to none, and she's really got a good idea of compliance and good business brain.
Yeah.
So she's good because she'll go, you need to do that, you need to do this, you need to do that, and she kind of keeps me in check. And I'm more operations, going, okay, well, to make that work we need to do this, and so we kind of complement each other.
That definitely is.
But because we're both exactly the same, we kind of clash as well over opinions on how certain things should play out and stuff. But no, it's good. Obviously we can work for it. She has to work from home because of the kids and stuff, but it's good. We're in a situation at the moment, obviously, with lockdown and stuff, where we've had a good 14 weeks isolation together. And working together and living together, so that's been tough, but now we're coming out of that. I can get back into the office, get back on the road, help out, and it kind of separates it again, and then it makes it work.
All right. So
she doesn't just draw away. She has a good active input.
I definitely.
Which is good, because a lot of people will be like, yeah, wife's a director, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say I can tell, but I definitely assumed that it's not like, okay, you just pay the wages. That's what I mean. So I feel like obviously she's invested in the success of the business as well. So it's definitely a very much a family
I have to eat
business.
humble pie a lot, because she does say, you need to do this. If you don't do this, then that'll happen. And I go, no, it's fine. And then 3 months later, that happens. And then I have to go, yeah, all right, you're all right. Yeah.
So I think that's something that I'm very much like I identify with, that feeling of I'm very stubborn, not just in my relationship, just in general.
Yeah.
So it is something that like you said, that humble pie is like the worst tasting food ever. It's the worst one. Yeah. So that is something that I think about. Like ideally down the line, me and the missus will have some sort of family business, much in the vein of, maybe not the same industry, but much in this vein. So I think about, like you said, kind of almost playing to each other's strengths.
Yeah.
So I question whether, once somebody's strengths are identified, do you then say, all right, this is your realm, this is what you do, even if I disagree, even if I'm sure that this is not ideal, or this is not going to work by my mind, do I just say, all right, cool, we're just going to do that because this is your world?
Yeah.
What do you reckon? What's your view on that?
I do have to leave a lot of stuff to Mel, because she is good at her job, and she's good at, setting up all the processes and having a certain way that things work. We have monthly managers meetings, so me, Mel and Phil would all sit down and go, right, this is what we discussed last month, how's it all played out, this is what is going on at the moment, this is what we want to see by next month. And so it's a good opportunity for me to say, okay, so last month this happened, and that was done that way. I personally think it worked better this way. Can we try that and then see? And because it's in a professional capacity rather than a conversation at the dinner table, it's kind of easier to put the point across and go, you know, if you did that, that's how I used to do it before you came on board and started. Because obviously, when I first set up the business, I did everything because we just had a little boy. Mel would finish work, and you know she had to really concentrate on that to let me build the company.
Right.
So I needed freedom 24/7 to be able to go and do whatever job wherever.
Right.
And she needed to make sure that Teddy was looked after. So when she came into the business, it's like, okay, so this is how I did it. That's how I made it work. But if you can think of a different way, great. We'll talk about it. And then if I saw sort of like flaws in ways that she did it, because she's bought her stuff from a bigger global company.
Right.
So a process that she dealt with one part, somebody else might have dealt with the rest of it. Yeah, whereas we haven't got that here, so you've got to see it through to the end. So certain things maybe might not work. But like I say, it's a good place to do it in a management meeting, because then you can have a conversation rather than go, well, no, that's how I want to do it, or whatever. So.
All right, so that what interested me there is when you saying that when you spoke to her about how you done stuff before. So for that year, like you said, that you was just doing it on your own. And was it that conversation of almost like that debrief of your processes that you kind of did? Was that something that you kind of, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, were you good at reporting, like, what you do, if that makes sense? Like, almost kind of documenting everything. Yeah, so in order for you to then be able to pass it on to your missus, and like for her to know, not just, okay, day to day, all right, I need this person to do that job and that job and that job, but just generally your kind of, I don't know, is it code of practice or whatever, your work, how you process of how you do the business, for her to even improve on.
So I would keep a spreadsheet of like all ins and outs.
Okay.
And I would say, right, if I get an invoice in, this is what I would do. I'd put a reminder on my phone or whatever, and I'd pay it on that day. But I would always be keeping a tab of what else we've got going out of the bank, so I know what's coming in to the bank when, what's going out of the bank when, and if that can be paid, then pay it. If you can pay it, you know, a few days early on another payment run, if nothing is going to change financially in the thing, you know, then we'd do it like this or whatever. Right. So. Yeah, I really had to show her sort of like my way of thinking, and then just sort of said to her, that's how I did it. If you want to improve on that model, that's fine, but tell me how you're going to do it, and like I need to be able to understand your process, because if I want to check on something, not checking her work, but just checking for my, because I have sleepless
peace of mind, isn't it? Obviously.
Stuff. So I need to make sure that I know that her process is working. So I was very good at documenting, so not manually writing, but I've got spreadsheets upon spreadsheets upon spreadsheets, and we've got a good process in now, and we've had a good method of paperwork from day dot. We started off with books, but that lasted about 12 months, and then we went digital. Right. So you can track everything that's been done properly, as long as it's been inputted correctly. Right. So we went quite early on with that, so that's helped us compliant with, you know, to keep compliance with regards to that. But and the accounting software that we've got as well kind of does everything for you, so you don't have to
just
worry.
About kind of, it's almost like mainly just data entry.
It was more difficult for me to go from keeping a spreadsheet to moving over to the accounting program, which we had to do when we changed accountants. He said, look, you input all your data on there, I don't need to talk to you, I can log in and I can see everything my end, so you don't need to be giving me receipts and this, that and the other, but I can get everything off there. So so it's more difficult for me to make that transition than for me to give her my work.
Okay, alright. Goals.
Yeah.
Moving forward, because obviously, you know, to the untrained eye, you're a success story. You know, you've kind of happy family. Yeah. Obviously, nothing's perfect, but you know what I mean. Like you're a functioning family, happy, functioning business, successful. I would assume just by how you describe it, it's kind of almost exceeded even. I don't know. Maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, but it's exceeded the expectations that you had at the start.
I never thought that I'd be
Right.
sitting here with any more than me and another guy in a van. That's,
Right.
You know.
So there's some level of kind of success, but I would feel like whether it started that way or not, you are a person that sets goals and targets and have achieved them as you've moved forward.
Yeah.
So kind of moving forward, where is there to go?
I think, do you know what? I want to keep for me, my main goal is to keep the quality. So I don't want to get too big like a lot of other companies in our industry where they'll go, oh, we're getting this work, we get that work, and we can do this, we can do that, we can open another depot, and we can do this, and we can do that. But then all it takes is one person to do something wrong, and you lose a contract, and then you go, right, well, we need to get rid of that depot now, we need to get rid of 5 vans, because that contract now is gone, because one guy fell asleep, or, you know, because one guy was rude to a customer and he didn't want him anymore, you know? So your dreams can be shattered like that if people aren't all singing off the same page. So for me, my main goal is work-wise, my main goal is to just make sure that everybody's got the same dream. Everybody is coming to work knowing exactly what they need to do, exactly why they're doing it, and where our end point is. And our end point is just to, like we've got 6 people now, I would be happy with 10 as a maximum, and even then I don't probably want to even go to 10. That's just if we can't cope with the work. But I just want to keep it small, keep the quality high, and I think that's more important than making a lot of money in a short space of time and dying overnight. You know, because you get a lot of industries that pop up and down overnight. They've taken on all this work, they can't fulfill it, and then all of a sudden their outgoings are more than their ingoings, and then you don't see them again. And for me, I'd rather make a comfortable living for a long period of time than make £1 million and be looking for a job next week. I've tried to keep my goals realistic, and I've tried to say to myself, well, if I've got £1 million in the bank or 10 quid in the bank, I'm the same person. So I would be happy to pay my mortgage, make sure everyone's paid, make sure all the bills are paid, have a nice yard, good fleet of vans, good lads that are all happy because they're all being paid, you know, okay money, and be able to go on a nice holiday every year and give my kids the stuff that I didn't have. Financially growing up, we weren't, you know, I had, you know, the less expensive clothes, the less expensive trainers, and I wouldn't go out and just spend loads of money on the kids, but to be able to buy the kids nice stuff that I didn't have, you know, that for me is fulfilling. I don't need flash cars and, you know, expensive clothes and stuff. I just need to have a happy family, nice holiday, nice house, and the kids comfortable.
That's fair. That's good.
So they're my goals, just to sustain a long, comfortable life. And whether that means that I'm sitting in the office and everybody's, you know, working all happy, or whether that's me on the back of the lorry throwing cones out for 5 miles. You know, I'll do whatever needs doing gets done, so that we can. Yeah, that's a powerful kind of concept to me. I feel like that's something that, obviously I've had what do I call it? Delusions of grandeur, I call it, where I just feel like, you know, I'm destined for these great things. You know, like I've always been that kind of person. But and I still kind of think I'm definitely meant to do more than I have done, which I think everyone is. But what I definitely got from what you just said there is kind of like, once you've got that goal, which is, you know, being able to provide for the family and being able to live a certain quality of life, that does not necessarily only mean you sitting in the office and you've got 10 people working for you. Like, it could look like you, like you said, on the back of the van throwing cones out a few days a week or whatever, just to make everything run at the level and the pace and the thing that you want it to be. And it's not about kind of how it's achieved, it's about what is achieved. Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, how can you expect people to jump on the back of the lorry when it's starting to rain, and go, well, I don't care it's raining, just them 500 cones need putting out, right? How can you expect somebody to do that who hasn't really done it that much before, and they've never seen you do it, right? And you get all these bosses that go, I'd never tell anyone to do something that I wouldn't do myself. but you never see them do it.
And they will definitely do it every day.
Yeah,
They definitely tell people that every day, like
exactly.
to do stuff that.
Go there and make 100 sandbags. Yeah, right. I wouldn't ask you to do it if I didn't do it myself. But if we're like in a position where we say, right, everyone do 20 sandbags each, I'll go and do 30.
Yeah.
There you go. I've done my 30.
Yeah.
You guys just do 20.
Yeah.
Because I like to. I think that's what keeps you more humble as well. So no matter how successful or how unsuccessful you are, like if you're happy, and if you've done it the proper way, I feel that you can hold your head up high and go, yeah, all right, I've got a nice car now, but I've worked hard for that, and I'll continue to work hard for that. I'm not just sitting in the office now directing people. If I need to go out, I'll go out, and I think that definitely keeps you grounded when you're working with the lads and you are, doing what they're doing. They're not just looking at you like, oh yeah, that's the gaffer,
And I think, to be fair, I think that's definitely something that kind of is. I don't want to just sound like I'm fucking. I don't want to sound like I'm just being a prick. But I know what I'm trying to say is I feel like that is something that definitely comes through from everybody.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I think you're not. Obviously, everyone knows that no one knows what's in your bank, but everyone assumes that you're but people assume that you're successful. Don't get me wrong, or no one thinks that you think that you're better than them just because of that success and because of where you have built yourself to, and you're always willing to jump on a van, and you always see you come back and do a job and whatever, and so that's definitely something that I think is an important thing in morale for a team and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that was important for me as well, because I never saw myself as a director. I never saw myself as a company owner, and and having this, that, and the other. So for me, I'm still trying to find my feet. I've come from nothing. I didn't have any money to put in. My mum and dad have never given me any money or a house or anything. So to sell a house and even have a 20 grand profit out of that house, it was like, wow, we've got 20 grand out of that house. Yeah. Albeit it's going to go into the next house and you're not going to see or spend it. But to go from that and having nothing and then building something where I wanted to build something where the guys that work for us are happy working for us, not working for us just because we might pay £5 more than somebody else. So it's good. That was one of my main things that I wanted to build, was for everybody to be happy and want to work for us, and to see that I'm not just sitting at the sidelines going, yeah, great job guys, keep earning me that money. Do you know what I mean? But I suppose for me, because I've not really come from anything, when I see how much more money I can make from a job by not using somebody if I don't have to. Obviously we've got our core guys that all work for us, but if we need anything extra, I'm not going to get somebody else in, because I'm greedy, and I will look at that and go, well, why am I going to pay him £100 when I can earn £100?
But I think that's an important lesson as well that I'm definitely hearing, is that I wouldn't say I've ever really been scared of hard work, so it's not really something that I wouldn't need like that, but I do think it's important to kind of, like you said, stay humble, stay grounded, and do understand that rather than looking at it as being almost a lowering of yourself to go and do some of the donkey work almost. It's in the grand scheme of things, it's beneficial as well. Absolutely. Financially, good for morale of the team, good for building relationships with, other customers, companies and customers and all of that.
Yeah.
Take yourself back to when son was born.
Yeah.
First time you're holding him in your arms or whatever.
Yeah. Cry like a baby.
Yeah. But you now go back and speak to yourself then. What 3 bits of advice would you give that lead then?
Oh God. Probably be patient. Okay. That's one thing that I beat myself up about probably, is patience. I don't have much patience, and I feel like I could be a lot better father if I had more patience.
Okay.
Yeah. So some guys are just natural at being fathers, and others have to work at it. For me, I would say I'm quite a natural father. I can deal with anything, changing nappies, feeding them, all of that stuff when they're babies, looking after them, dealing with them when they're crying and stuff. But I haven't got the patience that I would think would make me a better dad. If I had more patience, that would.
Okay.
So my advice would be to be more patient.
2 more? Or 3?
Oh, 3 things.
3 things.
Okay. Be more loving to my wife, maybe.
Okay. You say loving, what you mean, like more affectionate or?
Yeah, more affectionate, more.
Telling her more.
Yeah, telling her how much I appreciate her more, because I appreciate her. She does anything and everything for me, which I do for her. Yeah. But maybe, I'm probably gonna backtrack on what I said earlier, where I said you can't always blame stuff that's happened in the past for how you are today.
Yeah.
But I would say that I'm quite a cold, kind of shut off person. I don't talk about my feelings that much, and I do believe that is probably from not having my mum and dad around as much when I was younger.
Because you didn't really have that. Where were you talking about your feelings? Like, when was that done?
Exactly, yeah.
So it's just a new phenomenon. It's a new thing.
Stuff, yeah. It's like when my wife will say to me, how are you not pissed off with your dad or your mum? Let you down. Like, my dad hasn't sent me a birthday card, I don't think, since I was about 14, right? Yeah. But it doesn't piss me off because I've never expected it. Yeah. So I said to her, like, your parents did everything for you when you were growing up, as they should have done. Mine didn't. I don't have expectations, you do. So if they do something wrong, you get pissed off about it. Mine do something wrong, I expect it. Yeah. So I don't, I don't. So maybe that's why I'm more sort of like cut off. I'm not as affectionate or loving because. I think just to kind of, I always end up doing this, I'm a habitual oversharer. So, but like I feel I'm very similar in that way. Yeah. In the sense that almost, don't get me wrong, my mum was always there. Yeah. And had to work double hard if your dad wasn't.
Right, and because she was doing it by herself, she worked, and like I was what they would call a latchkey kid, like you get yourself home from school, you put your key in the door, you go home, you sit down, you watch TV, you do all that.
Yeah. And late, you know what to do with your food. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, but I think what that has done is kind of almost created a person. There wasn't that relationship of conversation. That wasn't somebody like, I couldn't come home and obviously when I was super young, you come home and you complain to your mum like, oh, I'm getting bullied at school, or this is happening, that's happening. Once you get to a certain age, it's just like, that's not what you do. Yeah. You don't burden the other half with your stress. Yeah. You kind of, she's got her own stress that she's got to deal with,
I can deal with this.
And I got to deal with my stress. And I feel like the dynamic now is very much like, my missus doesn't kind of enjoy the fact of that I feel that I'm supposed to just be able to shoulder whatever stress is going on. And no matter how good we think we are at shouldering the stress, it always kind of spills out. It always seeps out in our kind of in a mood, or just being a bit sharper than we usually are, or that stress always just kind of ends up affecting them somehow anyway. Yeah. So, but I still find it almost impossible to kind of, I don't know, share your feelings.
Yeah, share the feelings.
Maybe and there's something I was talking to someone else about as well, is that maybe we don't even know how to kind of speak about. Do we even have the vocabulary to kind of articulate it? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Could I even explain how stressed I am about X, Y, and Z? In a way without making you fucking lose your shit, making you think the world's ending, because it's not ending. I'm just
this is just how I feel. I've dealt with it.
Do you know what I mean?
It's so probably that'd probably be my third thing as well. So after being affectionate and loving to my wife, talk about my feelings more, I suppose. Because again, that makes things more difficult when, like you say, you're being like snappy about stuff. But you might not be if you could just talk about stuff. But again, like you say, have you got that vocabulary to even express how you feel? So.
Yeah, it's a hard one. It's an interesting one as well, because it's all a process.
Yeah.
If you could ask me one question, what would it be?
Ooh, wasn't prepared for this one.
Yeah, no one ever is.
Yeah. I was going to ask you one question. What would it be? What's your goal?
Ooh, okay. Soapbox moment. So, like I was raised in a house that was very kind of socially conscious.
Yeah.
So my mum was a social worker. She was a community activist sort of person.
Yeah.
Very influential in the community and all of that. So I've always had the. It's like I've always felt like it's my responsibility to affect change in inner city areas, or not even inner city areas, but mainly just because that's what I know.
Yeah.
So my goal has always been to create opportunities for people. Now, don't get me wrong, I've got capitalist tendencies, so I want to make money. I want to have a business that I can kind of provide for my family and all these things.
Yeah.
So yes, I want to work for myself and have my own business but all of the businesses that I kind of want to do are all geared towards being able to provide opportunities for people that don't have the opportunities.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Give them a platform, yeah.
That's kind of what it is. So, you know, I've written a film script back in the day, and the idea was I write the film script, I get the money to make the film, I get a director, but then I get inner city or a disadvantaged young person to come and shadow that person so that they learn how to direct and all the positions. So when it comes to the lighting, when it comes to the rigging, all of that stuff, when it comes to my clothing line, it was the same thing. So that's always get them to model, get them to design things, get them to learn how to sew the garments, all of these things. So that's always, all of the businesses that I've got, that is always kind of, that is my goal, to be able to create like a portfolio of businesses that are all able to kind of provide opportunities for disadvantaged people.
And they've all got the same endpoint.
Yes, that's the goal. That's the goal in short, is kind of just to kind of, they don't have to necessarily all be connected.
Yeah.
But the better way to word it is, any business that I have, I would be able to gear it towards providing opportunities for
disadvantaged people.
That's it. So that's
it beats my goal.
No, man. What are you talking about? You are that person. You are that person. You do actually provide opportunities, and I do see that. Even just to kind of, without blowing too much smoke up your ass, like just even us, how I got into working for the company.
Yeah.
I say to people all the time that, you know, just getting into TM, I was struggling a little bit, just getting work, finding kind of shifts and all of these things, because obviously people have kind of got their favourites and people that they built relationships with. So when we kind of ended up just randomly, I was working for the agency, ended up working with you on a shift. Do you know what I mean? And just cool. We spoke, we vibed. You just saw me just grafting, and you know, you requested for me to work. Obviously, as you kind of said before, it's unusual for the geezer who runs the company to be on the job to even meet the person like that. But that's what happened, and you know, we kind of gone from there. That's how it's kind of happened. So as I said, I was struggling at the time to get shifts, and just through me and you working that day, you kind of kept me on, and now I work for the company and all of that sort of stuff. So
it's good. I feel like we need that with all of our employees as well. So like, I've got a connection with every single person that works for us. And people don't, like, you get some companies where if the guy's qualified and he turns up on time, then he's got a job kind of thing. With us, it's more about, you know, the guy needs to have those things, but also you need to have that common ground where, you know, you appreciate each other, sort of thing. I think that's what makes us a good team, I think.
I agree.
So, but in doing this, it's given me now like an opportunity to, which I didn't think I'd have, an opportunity to show my kids now when they're older. Doesn't matter what you do, you know, you can make it work if you put everything into it. And that's, you know, I've got an elder daughter as well. She's like 14 this year.
Oh, wow.
You know, so she'll be coming up to an age soon where, you know, if I get to have that conversation with her, you know, you can, whether it's nails, whether it's hairdressing, whether it's admin job, whatever you do, just do it as good as you can do it, you know. my little boy, he's definitely going to be driving an RPV at some point because he loves it, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't think that working in this industry would give me that outlook on life to say that, you know, this is what we've done. You can do that. You can do that. So it's good.
All right. Final question. This is the one that most people struggle with. So how am I going to word it now? I don't know how harsh I want to be to you. Make it difficult. All right, here we go then. Because you just mentioned that last thing, you've got a daughter that's 14 years old or whatever. All right. What if you're talking to her now? What would you say to her now?
God, loads of things.
Yeah.
I couldn't pick one thing.
Yeah, I don't mean one thing. I'm talking like let's say you got 120 seconds, 120 seconds to fill up on talking to your daughter.
Do you know what? I would want to have an honest conversation with her about how we've got to where we've got to. So I haven't seen her for 3 years now.
Wow.
Split up with her mum before I met my wife now. She is the most difficult person I've ever met in my life. Has made it difficult for me to have a relationship with my daughter, and obviously it comes to a head 3 years ago through 2 lots of court battles with her and stuff. And obviously at a young age, you know, I was 22 when I had her, and me and her mum went together, stuck with it, did what I had to do, and that was it. But yeah, she's obviously been with her mum for the last 3 years and not seen me. So I would probably have to have a lot of conversations with my daughter to try and understand where she's at, why she thinks we haven't seen each other, explain to her from my side why we haven't seen each other, and try and probably I would say to her that I'd like her to give me a chance, really, to understand why we are where we are now and where I want us to be.
All right, let me give you this is just me speaking as the child of an absentee father, right? If you take all of the other stress out of it and directly speak to her, not about why, because that's something that's obviously that she's going to ask you that.
Yeah.
But if you was to kind of just say to her, I don't know, how you feel about her, what your regrets are, that sort of stuff. Simply as that, I think is in the first instance. That's where it starts, because in my situation with my dad, like he left when I was 2. That's what I know. My mum's never had a conversation about it. Anytime I brought it up, my mum blocked it. So it's not, that conversation just doesn't exist. So I haven't got the counteracting argument. Right? So obviously now I've got some level of communication with him now, and all I've got is kind of his point of view. But I feel like it's important to, once that bridge is built, because that's what happens, I think. I think even though for me, it took for me to be 30, when I was young, I was angry, and it was, for want of a better word, it would have just been smoke when I see him, like, you know, like that. It was just, I was just that angry. But as I've got older and you become an adult and you experience relationships and you kind of see that and you understand that who your mother is to you is not who she would be in a relationship. Like who she is as a parent, just like who you are as a parent to your kids ain't the same as you are to the person, who you are as a partner. So once you get to that age where you understand that, then you're able to kind of almost be willing to hear a conversation. So to cut through all the fluff anyway, it's just me just saying, I think what I'm really asking in this conversation, when I'm saying talk directly, is that how do you feel about her? What do you regret? And is the door open?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So, you know, she was my first child. You know, my first child, love her unconditionally. You know, she's never been an issue to me. You know, never been a hindrance. Always, you know, loved having her around and stuff. Door 100% open, and regrets would be, again, like I said earlier, how I've been selfish in the past. So selfish decisions that I've made.
Yeah.
May not have been the final reason why I don't see her, but have definitely paved the way to allow the other person in the situation to make it that, you know, that problem. So again, being 22 again, I would do things a lot differently. If something isn't working, I would keep it completely separate rather than dabbling in and out and trying to make things work and not make work. You know, and rather than doing that, I would just go, it's not working, let's just both be as good parents as we can be and work together. That's great in hindsight. Yeah. Doesn't happen. Yeah. And then you end up with a situation where the only choice I had left in that situation was to give her some space, start in secondary school. She doesn't need me and her mum arguing all the time around her. We've been to court twice. Court couldn't sort out the situation. So there's no hope for us to, as individuals, to sort out the situation and make it bearable for everybody. And I've got my own family now, my family with my wife now. You know, there's siblings that she's not seeing, there's holidays she's not coming on, and you know, all of that stuff gets you. They're your regrets, because time spent with those children and that family together is missed because of selfish actions in the past on both sides, you know, and also difficult people. You know, people make the easiest thing as difficult as possible to get a reaction and don't realise that the children involved are the ones getting hurt. So for me, regret is just...
No, I appreciate that. And that's a deep one. It's a deep one. It's a deep one, because that's 3 years is a long time, man.
It is, yeah. Do you know what? It's never something that even into my head about not seeing my daughter for even 6 months, let alone 3 years.
Yeah, no, of course.
I was advised by my solicitor at the time, there's no shame in walking away. The first time we went to court, and I was like, no, going to pursue it. Had a bit of contact got stopped again, but back to court, and he advised me again, listen, you're going to throw money away because they're not going to go on your side, because their mum will go in and cry, they'll just go with the mum and stuff. And I didn't listen to it, and I pursued it. But that's what I've got on my side when we do have that conversation. There's a thick pile like that. Have a read through that. Ask me anything you want. You know, it's like, I've made mistakes in my past, absolutely. Who hasn't? You know, you can't be good if you've never experienced being bad. That's something that Kevin Hart said. You can't be great. You can't experience greatness if you've never failed.
So true.
Because how do you know what to compare it to? So if you failed at something, or if you've messed up on something, it's fine to do that as long as you learn from it and do better. And I think that's my best advice to give to my children would be, if you mess up, that's fine, just do better. Learn from it, do better.
It's a great way to end it, I think. Great way to end it. Great way to end it. Lee, appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Appreciate you having me.
Thanks for sharing too much information, man.
Thanks.
Big up, man.
Cheers, man.